Yo, yo, what's good, YouTube? Today is your boy DD, and today I have a good topic of not NBA, but college basketball. If you guys don't know, March Madness is coming up for the women and the men, and I want to talk about who I think could go all the way to the national championship, win it all for the women and the men, and who I think can make it into March Madness for the women and the men. So, for the women, we all heard, if you have not heard the news, South Carolina and Texas co-share the SEC championship. My fault, my apologies. I did just finish eating, so if you guys see me burping a lot and drinking a lot of water, that's because I'm trying to stay hydrated and everything like that. But yeah, so South Carolina and Texas, they co-share the SEC championship, and they did a coin toss to see who would get the number one seed. South Carolina had got the number one seed. So I'm thinking Texas might get number 2. Notre Dame is probably going to be number 3, and USC is going to be USC probably might be number 3. Notre Dame might be number 4 because I think they do the quad 4 or whatever thing. So can't wait for that. Now, teams I think that can make it, man, like I said, you got South Carolina who's going to be in. Texas obviously got to be in. UCLA has to be in. Notre Dame has to be in. USC, like I said, they got to be in. LSU might make it. North Carolina might make it. NC State is going to make it. Florida State, if they can push enough to get in, they can make it. But there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of teams who can make it. And I want to say the team that I think could win it, I'm going to always rep for my hometown team, South Carolina. You got Malaysia Full-Wiley, the great guard. Tessa Johnson, a great 3-and-D girl. Tahina Paopao, also a great 3-and-D girl. You have Chloe Kitts. She's a great 4. Is the one thing about South Carolina is they've always had a good history of creating good players and also having good 4 and 5s in the big girls. Throughout history, they had Camila Cardoso. Most recently, they have Aaliyah Boston, Asia Wilson. There's so many others. Recently, they have been producing some good bigs. So I want to say that about South Carolina. But like I said, there's a lot of sneaky teams. You got Notre Dame with the Hidalgo twins. I'm telling you, Notre Dame with those Hidalgo sisters, they are killing it in the college women's basketball. Then I also forgot UConn with Paige Beckers over there. Even though credit, they don't have Nika Mule. I think they still have. No, I don't think they have Aaliyah Edwards anymore. But they have Paige Beckers over there at UConn, and Paige Becker making some noise. Becker is making some noise. They did defeat South Carolina. They beat the brakes off of South Carolina. So we'll see if they can do it again. UCLA have Kiki Rice or Juju Rice. I can't remember her name, but the Rice girl over there at UCLA, she's very good. USC, they have Juju Watkins. There's some teams that can make a push. And if I wish I could have seen Arizona girls over there with Jada Williams. I remember watching her in high school. We graduated at the same time. I remember seeing her in high school. I wish I could see her in a March Madness if Arizona is able to make it into March Madness, but it'll be great to see Jada Williams playing in March Madness. But like I said, for the girls, I think South Carolina could take it. Now, for the men, there's a lot of discrepancy of who could take it for the men as well. You got Auburn, you got Duke, you got St. John, you got some other good teams. Baylor could take it, or BYU could take it. I mean, those teams are good. I mean, hey, they are good. I seen Baylor play and I seen BYU play. I said, man, I don't know if that's Tamika Catchings' grandson or his nephew, whatever it is, or her son, but he is good. He's a bucket. Those kids over there at BYU, they're also some buckets. Baylor, they have Edgecombe. He's a bucket. They also have another freshman guard. He's also good. And then another good team that is sneakily out there in the SEC, you got Tennessee, Alabama. You also got Kentucky out there who's going to make it into the big dance. Then you also have teams in the ACC. Like I said, you got Duke, you got Clemson. Clemson is a sneaky And I mean, Clemson is sneaky because they've beaten Duke this year when they were the second team in the country. Clemson is very good. They have the two guards, Zachary and Hunter, Chase Hunter. They also have a good big man in Ian Shefflin. They also have a good forward in Wiggins. They have many great guys. They have a white skinny. I can't remember his name. It's like a white skinny dude who comes off the bench. I can't remember if it's number 4, if that's his jersey number, but he comes off the bench. He lights him up from 3. He laces it up from 3. Great 3-point shooter. They have another big man who played really well against Duke. So I want to give him his recognition, give him his flowers. But like I said, Clemson is a sneaky team. There's a lot of South Carolinian teams I think can make it. And they're small schools. They're not like no SEC, ACC, Big Ten. No, it's not none of that. The teams in the Big South, you have Winthrop University. They have a really good record this year. They have a great chance of making it. Another team in the Big South I think can make it is Charleston Southern University. That's my college. Always going to show love to my college. I'm always going to believe that my college can make it. But the problem with Charleston Southern is they have too many injuries on their team. Too many players sit out. And they don't have enough consistent scorers and enough consistent shooters enough for me to think that they can make it. But do I think they can make it? Yes. They haven't been in 28 years. This is a sign after this season, Charleston Southern University. Y'all need to recruit me. Please. I beg of you. Let me show my hometown that I can hoop. I was literally born in the hospital right across from the college. Let me come over there. Let me hoop. Let me hoop in front of my hometown, and I will show you that you picked a great kid to recruit. And I promise you, we will make the March Madness while I'm there. I promise you. I'm not going to say every year, but at least one of my years, we going to make March Madness. But like I said, Charleston Southern, they have a good chance. Because like I said, they have one kid who's number 8 in the country in total points, and another kid who's number 9 in the country in points per game. He is top 10 in the nation in points per game. And last time I checked, he was number 28, or he was top 25 in rebounds in the country. In the senior Tajay Kelly. I think if an NBA team sleeps on him, they're very stupid. I hope he gets drafted into the NBA draft. They also have another guard in RJ Johnson who leads, I can't remember where he's at in the nation, but he's up there in the nation in assists, definitely up there in free throws. They have another guy named Dalen Berry who's up there in 3-point percentage. I think he was 71. He's like top 75 in the nation for 3-pointers, 3-point percentage. Then they have another guy, Reese Jones, who's top 100 in the country in blocks. So Charleston Southern, they do have a nice squad over there. But I think with Charleston Southern, they're going to have to definitely go on a huge run, a huge push in order for them. And their shooter is going to have to be very consistent scorers and everything like that. They got to stay very sound on defense if they really want to make a chance to go into March Madness. Now, like I said, Winthrop, they have a great chance of going in. High Point, they have a good chance of going in. Another team out of South Carolina I think can make it is Furman. Furman is doing very good. They're in a SoCon conference over there with the Citadel. I don't think the Citadel is going to make it. The Citadel ain't going to make it. But I think Furman has a very good chance to make it back. And if you guys don't know Furman University down in Greenville, South Carolina, I'm letting you know right now. If you remember that one clip when Furman stole the ball and they shot the 3 and made it and beat Tennessee in March Madness, making one of the biggest upsets in March Madness history, that is Furman. They do have a great team over there in Furman. And some good players over there too in Furman. Furman played Charleston Southern and they beat Charleston Southern. They beat my college. And like I said, Furman, I think they can make it to March Madness again. Another school that they have been tearing it up recently is College of Charleston down in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm letting you know, I'm 30 minutes away from that college. But I want to say their big man, number 10, he's one of the best big men I've seen in the country. I've got to see him play one time, and he was electric. When I say electric, he was a very electric. Like, he can shoot it. He can play inside. He can rebound. He can pass a little bit. He definitely can defend the paint very well. So I want to let people know that College of Charleston, they will make it to March Madness. I believe they will. They're out in the American Conference. They will definitely, in my opinion, make it to March Madness. Now, another team, like I said, that's going to make it to March Madness is Clemson. Now, I don't think South Carolina, they're definitely not making it to March Madness. But Clemson has a very, very, very good chance of making it. I'm letting you know that right now. Hold on. Goodness, I thought I muted my other thing. My bad, y'all. I had to send a text out. But yes, Clemson does have a great chance of making it to March Madness. Now, I will say this. There's a lot of sneaky teams out there. And if you want to talk about the bigger team, I'm talking about Florida, Michigan State. Michigan, if Oregon can make it, Oregon, and I'm going to let you know right now, St. John's is going to make a good push because they dominated the Big East. Credit. People might say there's no competition in the Big East, but then you also got to look. St. John's has a great legendary coach. Michigan State, the only reason why I think they might not go far is because they are a terrible three-point shooting team, but they have a legendary coach as well. Duke and Auburn have a great team, but the problem with the good teams is that can they still play good when they get far? Because we've seen teams full of 4 or 5 stars with the best players on the team where they don't go far. Look at Zion Williamson at Duke. Look at Cam Reddish at Duke. Look what the Duke team when they had Cam Reddish, Zion, RJ Barrett, Trey Jones, when they had all those guys. The reason they didn't make a far was because they didn't show up on the game that you're supposed to show up. And that's the best thing about March Madness. People are going to say, oh, but look at what they've done during the season. In March Madness, it don't matter what you do during the season. Can you show up tonight? Can you show up on that game that night? And I think the problem with Duke and Auburn is that their best players, there's going to be a chance where they're going to have to show up and they're not going to show up. Where Duke, their team is too young and they're going to show you that I'm young, that I'm a freshman. This is my first year in college basketball. Because here's the thing about March Madness and playoffs. There's going to be times where you're going to see someone who's inexperienced and there's going to be people that you can tell that they have experience being in the playoffs. There's people that have experience being in the playoffs, definitely in March Madness, and they know what they're doing. Now, credit. Another team in the Big 12 that I don't think is going to make it, that they have a slight, matter of fact, I'm not going to say they can't make it. They have a slight chance. Arizona. Over there with Caleb Love. Arizona. With Caleb Love has a good chance of making it. I'm letting you know that right now. Arizona with Caleb Love, if they are able to make it into the Big 12 tournament and they're able to win it, they are a good team to win the Big 12 tournament. I'm letting you know right now. Outside of BYU and Baylor, that's their toughest competition. Arizona is up next. But like I said, bro, I think with Auburn and Duke, with Broome, Cooper Flag and Broome obviously aren't on the same team, but I'm saying they're best players. Broome, number 10 for Auburn. Cooper Flag, Knipple. You got Proctor over there. Isaiah Evans, the other Evans guard. They also have Malawach. And then with Auburn, you have Broome. You got number 10. You got number 0. And the thing with Auburn is they have one of the oldest teams in college basketball. So Duke and Auburn are kind of flip-flop. Duke has a young team. Auburn has an older team. And credit, older teams with experience help you a lot. But the problem with that is that can they show up every game? Can Broome, because there's going to be games where I feel like there's going to be a game where Broome is going to have a game where he is off. Can't hit a shot. Can't get a rebound. He's in foul trouble. Same with number 10. I feel like their players are going to be in foul trouble. Can't get a shot. Nothing's going in. Because the higher you go in March Madness, the more nerves you're going to have. Now, another team who I think could do some damage. Now, people think UConn. No, UConn can't go 3-peat. People thought UConn could 3-peat, but UConn can't, in my opinion, because UConn lost too many good players. They have a great coach in Dan Hurley, back-to-back champions, but the problem is they lost too many important players for them to go back-to-back. For them to 3-peat, actually. They lost too many important players in Stephon Castle and Donovan McClingan. Okay. But in my opinion, I think they lost too many important players. If they had still kept their players that they've been had, I think they still had a great chance of going 3-peat. But they don't have those players. They don't have that. And plus this year, they have been losing quite a lot of games. I don't know if they still have the chance to make it, but they've been losing quite a lot of games. So I don't know. But I can't wait for this March Madness, man. I think for the men's side, it's going to be a team that nobody's expecting to win. It's going to be a team that everyone's going to be like, how did they make it? How did they make it? And if it's a team that everyone knows, like, okay, obviously they're going to go, is either Auburn, because they have the most experienced players, like having 5-6 year players, or St. John's, because their coach. Because here's the one thing about St. John's coach: he teaches toughness and mentality. Because the one thing about playoffs, it don't matter how physically gifted you are. If you are not mentally prepared and mentally gifted for the game and for the playoffs, you will not win. And people think, oh, mental part doesn't matter. Yes, it does. The mental part matters in games, because there's going to be games where you can't put the ball in the hoop. The one thing about shooters, the one thing about scorers, if you can't put that ball in the hoop, you are going to be defeated, because you're like, man, I don't know any other way to impact the game. And that's the mental part, is telling yourself that you can still do this. I'm telling you. So the most mentally tough team, the most healthy team, the most chemistry team is going to win the championship. And I think St. John has a really good chance. I think a team that can pull a Cinderella story is Drake. They could pull a Cinderella story. But a team that could win it off of what I thought and what I named, St. John's. And for the women, who I think could win it, obviously South Carolina. Now, South Carolina boys, they're having a bad year. Just go back to your dorm. How I said it to one kid when I was at church, you better hope your grades is good, because you ain't hooping no more this year. You just hooped. Go to your class, get your pen and paper. You better take some good notes. You better learn to study, because it ain't no more planes and jets for you. You can go in the intramural gym all you want, but that regular that postseason, that ain't in the question for you. Just go to your classroom. That's why I say you better be a studious student. But yes, that's who I think could win March Madness. That's who I think could get in. And there's a lot of sneaky teams that a lot of people are gonna have to watch out for. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, because I will drop more videos for y'all. I'm glad if you got to sit through this and listen to everything I said. I'm glad you got to watch this video. And if you got to watch till the end of this video, make sure you drop a 1. So I know you're the one that listened and you're the one that watched. Type of thing. So make sure that, like I said, you like, comment, subscribe, and I will be here and I will be there. Deuces.